Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome to Islamic Action TV with myself, Bilal Ali Hugh.
And myself, Mohammed Solomon.
And myself, Salam Al-Sunyak.
So what are we chopping up today, brothers? What are we going to talk about today? What would we like to discuss?
Well, we're in Islamic Action Studio.
Indeed.
And today, mashallah, I think we should maybe touch on the reverts.
The reverts.
The term reverts.
Who are they?
What are they?
Why do they exist?
Do they exist?
When did they start existing?
How did they begin to exist? These are questions which I think are very important.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's been a lot of debate.
A lot of public discussion, private discussion.
The great debate was a great one that discussed that.
Yeah, mashed it up.
Mashed it up, that's right. Chopped it up, bro. About the word revert. I think because, I think this word...
Short time though. Short time.
Yeah,
I don't know if you got to the depths of some of the stuff that you wanted to drill from. Go on. At some point, the debate that I had with Sheikh Hanif, may Allah reward him for his endeavours and his work, shall be online at some point, hopefully, on this very TV station. So we're gonna hopefully go on station and get to see that debate. But sometimes when you're in a debate, yes, sometimes you prepare all your information in advance and you go over it the night before and you think that perhaps on the actual day you'll be able to deliver as much as some of the information that you're able to do. But there was some of the stuff that, even though I was happy with the general way I conducted the debate, there was some stuff that I felt crucial stuff that could have been brought in, but things that time permitting and all What kind of information?
I think one of the key things, which Sam and I was talking about this, and yourself been talking about this, is that we have to understand that the word revert is a kind of a labeling thing, and I believe that my personal belief is that it kind of creates a disunity and a division, and I think what the kind of people who feel they are reverts, and there's nothing wrong with feeling you're a revert, there's nothing wrong with you thinking, okay, I want to somehow clarify, I want to have some kind of labeling to the fact that I've embraced Islam and I'm not a born Muslim, and I feel those are genuine human feelings. My own feeling is though that there's a conspiracy around that genuineness, that the genuine believer, the genuine person who converts, so-called converts, I think that's being co-opted. That's what I believe. And I think what happens is that when people like myself are highlighting this co-option, are highlighting this these terms which I feel are not applicable to someone who's just Muslim, I get, like some people like myself get called haters, like, I'm hating anybody who's a revert, or those who are in opposition to this term hate all reverts. Anybody who's a revert is silly, they're stupid, as if somehow, as if they've been put upon. And I think what I wanted to clear up, or really would have wanted to say, was that is not the case, My opposition and my feeling around that word is not in any way designed to embarrass, humiliate, or say I don't like or dislike, or I think anyone who calls himself a revert is stupid. I think this was a straw man issue. This was a straw man argument that was brought in simply to obfuscate the situation and the reality of the fact that this word is divisive. It's divisive. So I wanted to make it clear, I think, I've had the opportunity I have now, if you permit me, brothers, the opportunity just to say that in no way do I dislike people who consider themselves revert. No way do I hate to have any negative or angry attitude towards those people. I believe that those people are sincerely trying to find a way to designate themselves in Islam, or to find a way into Islam or understanding of Islam. But I believe there's a conspiracy to keep them in a second-class citizen position.
Okay.
And so it's important that people understand that just because I have an issue, anybody has an issue with that word revert, we don't hate you. We're not saying that we don't love you, or we don't love you as a Muslim brother or sister, or that you're stupid and you're backward. These are strawman arguments that's been put out by the propagandists against people like myself and others who merely want a discussion on this matter, who merely want to actually say that this word is now redundant, this word is no longer has any function, and it is by its very nature labeling and divisive.
Okay, before I bring Simon in to ask him a quick question, I want to almost try to summarize and say, is that phrase that they use in America, don't hate the player, hate the game?
That's correct.
So there's a bigger game going on.
Yes.
But it's bigger than the actual participants of the game. So the direction is, okay, there's a manipulation behind the scenes, or some have an agenda, some in power have an agenda.
Yes.
And that's what we dislike, but not the individuals who are subject to that game.
And I think that's the key. I think the thing is, because also there's a racial element to it,
No, we're gonna get to that. We
there's
got time.
a racial element to it, and I think that it's almost like, okay, if myself, who's of a slightly darker hue, brings up that issue, then somehow I'm filled with hate and anger, because that's all I can articulate is hate and anger.
Well, like an angry black man.
Like an angry black man, yeah, I'm an angry black man because I have an issue with it, you know, and somehow I can't be objective. I can't be intellectually engaged. No, I've got to be. I'm angry, frustrated, and you know, I'm just want to destroy everything, which is far from the truth.
All right, so put a stop to my angry, bitter black brother and out to my white brother.
the token revert.
What's your takes on the word, Brother Simon? In all seriousness, what's your take on the dynamic, but the word in particular, and the kind of dynamics behind it?
Well, I agree with Brother Suleiman. I think it's a problematic word. I mean, the word revert itself, and the issue was covered during the debate, although I wasn't there. We did have a discussion about how it should be presented.
We did, yes, we did.
And just look at the logic of the word. It denotes a sort of regression to a sort of state, an infantile state almost, if you like, that is just unhelpful in terms of constructing your own identity as a new Muslim, as somebody who's joined the deen, as somebody who's thought carefully over many years, for the most part, about what it means and how it fits into your way of life, to then to be described as becoming an infant again, which is what the implication of the term is, just highly prejudicial. So yeah, I do have a problem with the word. I think there's a separate argument to be made as well. If you don't use the word revert, is it appropriate to have a label for the group anyway? And I think that's an interesting discussion. I mean, for example, we've just had Eid recently, and people asked me, family members, how did your Eid go? I said, did you celebrate? I said, well, you know, I don't have anybody to celebrate with. I'm a revert. Wales reverts are particularly. We don't have a family we can do, you know, like Christmas Day. It's not like that for us. It's a separate thing. So the question is, for people in that sort of condition, is it appropriate to have a label? And I've thought hard about it. Well, there is a phenomenon out there, but I think I've come to the view that whatever label you put on it, it's always going to be unhelpful, because it's sort of putting you in a pigeonhole. It's sort of creating this category for you, which means you can't, you know, even if you don't celebrate Eid as others do, you celebrate it in your own way. You find your own way of developing your.
Just as valid.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily what an Arab family or Pakistani might do, or how they might do it, but you do it in your own way.
But can't we just be Muslim and do that? Why do we need to actually, you understand?
2 points I want to quickly pick up on there. So what I'm hearing is that one is that there's a phenomenon that exists, but my question, and it's a rhetorical question, is that this phenomenon is not new. It's existed for over 1,500 years, or 1,400 plus years, and in the time of the Rasul, peace be upon him, or the 12 Imam before the Mahdi, the Sahaba, the Ulama, the Grand Sheikhs, for hundreds of years, I've never devised a particular term to denote that. So the phenomenon existed, and people were known as Muslim. They might have been known as Sunni Muslim, Shia Muslim, Sufi Muslim, but they didn't have this reversion or this type of word to describe.
Muslim Milli?
You're Muslim Milli? Muslim Fitri. You're so silly.
You're so silly, Milli.
Muslim Milli.
You know it's true.
So I question. I just question why. What is it about Muslim history at this particular juncture why this phenomenon has always existed, but it needed a special name now? Why now? So what's taking place now? And the second thing is,
and is it a phenomenon? Because a phenomenon is something that occurs in a particular. It would have been a constant.
People have always been taking shahada.
So it's not a phenomenon.
It's not new. So that's one thing that.
Abu Bakr would have been. He's not a revert. Umar is not a revert. Imam Ali Islam is not a revert. None of them will call me.
I don't know where we go with that one. And also the argument about because it's the kind of idea that it was people who first started to come to Islam that started to use this term. I know as far back as I can remember, it was Malcolm X used this term as a description, as a kind of adjective, not as a name for a group of people.
No, exactly.
When somebody said, because so Malcolm, now you've converted to Islam, and he said, no, we're not converts. We have reverted to Islam. We're reverting back to the religion of our forefathers.
That's right.
But he was describing it as an action, not as an identity.
No.
So when people start to use it as almost like an identity that speaks to your whole Islam or you as a human being, then I'm left scratching my head, because I'm thinking, well, my parents aren't reverts, so I'm now disassociated from them historically. Their historical legacy, traditions, folkways, and
mores.
I'm separated from them. My children are not reverts, so I don't really get that. I don't really get that. So I think that when people who quote unquote did use that term, it had a certain connotation to it, had a certain meaning to it. But then once that word gets co-opted by the mainstream, then I'm not happy. Yeah, then I'm not happy with it. It's just almost like saying we would wear our hats, we would wear baseball hats as African Caribbean men, and then we'd wear them backwards. When people started to wear them backwards, we stopped wearing them. Or we use words like bling or murder or cool or whatever the word. When you hear it on BBC One, it's no longer the same.
What about what's that bump fisting? No one's the bump
People just shake hands now. People in the ghetto just shake hands, right? So words take on different connotations, right?
And I think even from the Muslim perspective, there is a fear of the other. So, you know...
Amina
okay.
Amina came with this one.
Mm-hmm. So if you're a new Muslim coming into the deen, they're obviously suspicious about, you know, what sort of stuff, what issues, what baggage you're going to bring into us that we need.
We need to categorise you?
Sorry?
Like, in a sense, we need to categorise you.
No, they don't state it specifically, but there is that sort of distance that they keep, as though you're bringing something unhealthy to the deen because of your
you know what I mean?
So there's an expectation, and I think that goes along with the word revert, that you basically sever your history. I think that's the Malcolm X point. I think what Malcolm X was saying was that, no, I've had this, no, this has been my history, my psychology brought me to this path.
Yes.
So it's all part of that
correct
continuation.
Yes.
It's not about me severing that link with my past. It's about me continuing.
Excellent.
And about me forging
Excellent.
Islamic
Good teaching, man. Good teaching, isn't it?
Come on now,
strong talk. It's my ring.
Hopefully he's winging it. No, that's good talk, because I think, touching back on the point you made there, I think that I didn't think that makes a lot of sense, because you're right, Malcolm was linking and sort of like, you know, like retaining those bonds.
Yeah.
But he said, with this modern concept of reversion is actually
severing.
Yeah. It's a breaking. Exactly. It's this regressive state.
It's like having your brain
washed. Yeah, exactly. You
so
know,
now
Operation Ultra. Is it Ultra?
Like year zero. So it's like a year zero then.
Yeah, year zero. Yeah, Pol Pot. Yeah, it's still back to year zero. But I think touching on the point you made about the fact that it's almost like, you're right. I consider it like, you know, it's almost like, you know, let's inoculate ourselves from this revert. You know, the community, that who is this person? What disease may they bring in? I mean, that's just me again. What illness? No. So let's quarantine.
We'll only bring him in on our terms.
And yes, coming in our terms.
We expect him to...
So he's in a state of Islam. No, he's actually in a state of reversion.
He's not Muslim fully yet. And what about your daughters? So I think it's always this thing with a lot of heritage Muslims that we're protecting our women. You know, very similar to the Klan, was always about protecting the virtues of the white woman against the licentious Negro. You know, even though the licentious Negro was getting lynched, tarred and feathered and burnt alive, he couldn't even touch a white woman. It's always this fear of the black man and the white woman. So I think Muslims kind of adopted this type of fear. You know, so it's almost like in the South America you had like the good Negroes who did the upper team was who caused problems, those didn't cause problems. South Africa in the apartheid you had the coloureds who were not quite black but they were coloured, but they were more acceptable than the blacks. And I think in Islam it's almost we've adopted a similar thing about, you know, like, let's test them before, are they full Muslim yet? Are they ready to be brought in yet? Let's have this incubation period.
It's like a caste system.
Yeah, it's a caste system, this incubatory period, because they're still not Muslims. And then when we talk, I said this when I was speaking to the head of Prevent, and he said, in Prevent, we have to look out for Prevent is a strategy in England to do with the government designating certain people in the Muslim community as terrorists, because they're trying to find potential terrorists, and they're creating projects and programs to target
anti-extremism
work, so-called anti-extremism work. But I met the head of Prevent at Scotland Yard, and an iftar dinner meal, and he said, we're trying to target and weed out these potential revert terrorists. And I said, well, there's nothing worse to revert. We're Muslim. And he goes, no. We engaged with the Asian community and the Arab community. They told us that the potential terrorists are the reverts. They're the most susceptible, because they're new Muslims and they're susceptible to being proselytized. So we said, we as the government need this word revert in order to designate these people. Without that word, because you're all Muslim, we can't have you all as Muslim. We can't have Muslims, because then we're not going to know who to look for.
Wow. So there's a state element, state interest as well.
It's a state interest, and that's.
Is there a revert industry then?
I think. What do you say? I think there is an industry. I think there is how many websites revert this? There's people that you go on Facebook. You got people like Adam Revert, Peter Revert, Abdullah Revert. People are actually using it as a surname.
Wow.
Right? You've got. I think there's certain groups, yeah,
I think particularly black people, I think a lot of black Muslims, they have the inability to create and establish their own institutions. Yeah, I don't know. But I think it's black Muslims in particular. But I think British-born Muslims of any race or any group, when they come into and when they accept their fixture again, I think there is the issue. And then we're not given the ability to build amongst ourselves, because somehow we're told if you guys build or have your own institutions, you're going to end up being racist or something like this or whatever. So there's this struggle. And I think that basically there are people, I call them they're almost like religious pimps, revert pimps. They bask in their revertness to get funding, to get employment, to get a job. You know, the book dancing, hey, I'm a revert, you know. And then you create this whole industry. So you go as a cripple to the Muslim, you want funding, you want help. Oh, I'm broken, I'm not a Muslim, we're not fully together. So you go to the so-called heritage Muslim, begging, cap in hand. You know, I can't do it for myself because I accept this inferior position.
Status, yeah.
But from if you're a new Muslim, you're not going to feel better about joining an organisation which causes the revert organisation of X. You're gonna. It sows confusion, doesn't it? I mean, it's not. What exactly is it for?
Because there's no history to revert, is it? There's no history of revert.
No, if you're going to join an organisation, you want to be a fully paid up Muslim, if I can use the sort of crude term. You don't want to join an organisation which is for reverts, which isn't specifically defined. And
so if it's a club, you're saying there's only a gold card and it means Muslim.
It's a stillborn concept.
Yes, it is.
As a
can't evolve.
organisation.
You can't evolve.
No, because
when do you stop being
a new Muslim will want. Well, if you won't understand the term, maybe, and even if he's 10 years in, I think, well, I'm not really a revert, I'm not a new Muslim anymore. I'm a fully paid up one now.
So it comes back to that issue, like you said. It comes back to that issue. Almost what comes to mind now is that issue of there are people I know who have been practicing Muslims. They weren't born in Muslim families, but they've been practicing Muslims since they were in their early 20s, for example, and then now in their like 50s, middle 50s.
Yes.
And then somebody who is born in a Muslim family who's like 14 or 15, they say, no, I'm Muslim. But you're a revert, as if to say, well, just because I was born in a Muslim family, I've got some sort of profound insight, or for all your critical thinking, all that work and education of yourself that you had to engage in to come to Islam. Exactly. You've been a Muslim all these years, reading and listening to tapes and following scholars and analysing what's going on. But I mean, I'm 15 and I was born in a Muslim family, so
I'm better than you.
So again, kiss my ring. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's the deal with that? What's going on with that?
I think that's another form of a nominal designation, as it were, like creating nominal meaning lesser than. So you're creating this tier system. I think Muslims, particularly the so-called heritage Muslims, are living a post-colonial concept of inferiority. And they've never got over that colonial constructs of these different countries that have been created by the Western powers. The so-called Kuffar governments created Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Oman. They're all constructs that didn't exist until the fall of the Ottomans.
But it's coach to become gamekeeper then, isn't it? If you've been in an unfair position, then you'll oppressed to become
it's a psychological. Well, you should know all this. It's psychological terms, isn't it? Yeah. You now want to flip that. I mean, I was going to touch on it. I was saying that the white female convert, she's the prize because if you look at how a lot of these Muslim stations are, one or two of them, someone you see, whenever a white woman comes Muslim, let's put her on the TV, it's immediately. And there's sisters who are more qualified, but because she's white, somehow she'll have this insight, because it's almost fighting for this woman thing again. We're going to take the woman of the West, and we're going to look now, she's following us. So so it's almost this property thing again, this idea of like creating imagery. But even then, if you're white, whatever you are, even though I think in those societies, I think they see white people.
So it's the ex-colonial thing.
Ex-colonial thing, that's a height, yeah.
So that's the whole caste system.
So we want to take those people out, yeah. And if once we have a white Muslim, that shows that our system, civilization is better than yours. Even though that person just come Muslim, don't give a monkeys about this class of civilization, but it's used in that way. But then at the same time, it's like, as the brother said, and here we have on the panel, Sheikh Abdullah Hakimul blah 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 blah, and then we have on the panel Saeed blah 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 blah, and then we have the revert brother Peter Jones, which is the revert brother. Yeah. But the point is, if he's white, then he's still not as good as them. He could be a sheikh, whatever, but he's still not as good. So I think that word revert is essential in the born Muslim or heritage Muslims mindset. It's very crucial that they have that designated position. And once again, no one knows who came up with this. We know Malcolm said it, but after Malcolm, in terms of it being now everyone's saying,
who did it change from? When did it change from becoming an adjective to describe an event in your life to becoming your group identity, your individual identity, and your group identity? When did that phenomenon change?
On the internet, there's lots of them. There's revert groups, revert this, revert marriage service, revert funeral service. It's germinating.
It's quite a deep issue because you spoke about the post-colonial mindset, post-colonial stressed out mindset, and then sort of taking on some of the mentality of the victimizer, right, and acting it out against other people. But it does go deep because there is issues to do with ethnicity, to do with race, to do with language, to do with culture. But oftentimes in the modern world, traditional Muslims from backgrounds, the best they can do when it comes to issues to do with race and ethnicity and culture, and things like that, you say, well, Bilal called the adhan and he was this dark skinned, this Ethiopian guy. So there's no racism in Islam. But that's kind of like a sixth form argument in a more complex, complex area. It's very, very kind of infantile way of addressing like a very deeper issue. I think Muslims get quite uncomfortable about stuff like that. So let's just go for the safe. Bilal was the one that called the adhan thing, and we just hope that these guys shut up and go away. But the problems ain't gonna go. We ain't gonna go away. And if we're not here, somebody else will be here discussing this program. Or this issue, should I say? So it's been fun.
Yes,
it's been.
I quite like the studio.
Take away message, man. Take away message.
What to take away with is that we're Muslims. And some may want to call themselves revert, that's fine, that's cool. And some equally may not want to call themselves revert, that's fine, that's cool. And just because somebody may have an issue with that word doesn't mean that they hate someone who has that word. There's no moral high ground here. We're all Muslims, none of us are Arif, none of us are scholars. Right? None of us are scholars here. We're just brothers just trying to enlighten you from the best of our humble experiences about what we think and what we feel about things. I think that's all. And critically thinking about these terms. So that's all it is. So I like to just say it's been an honour with you guys in the studio, and I've really enjoyed myself.
Alhamdulillah, brother Simon, yourself.
What Suleiman said.
And we thank you for staying with us for the duration. On Islamic Action TV. We want you to remember to subscribe, to follow us on Facebook, to follow us on the Twitter also as well, and to say that that Christian word when they say we hate the sin but love the sinner. So in terms of the term revert, we're not about hate, but we think that if there's a game being played, that we have a strong dislike for the game and strong dislike for
don't want to get played.
People being manipulated and caught up in other people's geopolitical power play. So until next time, stay safe. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.